Is the woman she was. Can you think of anything? Talking.
Oh,
Yeah.
my favorite mother picture of my mother was she would be reading a book after breakfast.
After breakfast. Oh, because she got up so early in the morning. I guess she could take an
early,
hour.
yeah, she was 5 o'clock.
Yeah, every time.
And she went after, well, or after lunch maybe it was. And she liked to read this book.
And
she was a great reader, you know.
yeah, my dad said that she read economic books. She was very smart. Financially, you know what?
She had gone to university.
Yeah.
She could have been a professor.
Oh, she could have been.
She
was.
What's his name?
Diefenbaker. Poor John Diefenbaker cried.
Diefenbaker cried.
Yeah,
he cried like a baby.
Yeah.
He was an awfully proud man.
Yes, and
he was such a windbag.
Yeah.
A windbag Tory.
Yeah.
We called him.
How is your friend coming?
Oh, is she there? Oh.
So what's happening?
I gotta go see if my friend is here.
Oh.
Janice
Oh, is she coming?
Yeah, she might be here, but I'll be back.
So, good.
I'll be back.
So, Uncle Fred,
okay, let her go.
Yeah, tell us your memories of your dear brother David.
Dave, he was my favorite brother. He was less than 2 years older. So I always looked up to him, you know, and he was, his birthday was, mine was in June and his was July. And his birthday and Phil's were just a few days apart. And I was always a little bit envious that Phil's birthday was so close to his. Because he was my favorite brother. Well, he was less than 2 years older, you see. And Mac and Pete were older. I didn't know them well. Mac was hard to get along with. He was always fighting with somebody. Pete was even-tempered. And then Phil, of course, and Ellis and Steve were younger. So it was Dave and I that grew up together. And we slept together for all those years. We had that little shack in the woods, you know, that I think Mac and Pete had built. And then we took it over, and as soon as it was warm enough in the spring, we'd move out of the house, out to the shack.
So, Uncle Fred, how many people slept in the same room?
What was that?
You know there's that big room upstairs. How many of you slept in that room? Did Ethel have
In the
her own
room, there were
bedroom?
4 of us in the room.
4 of you in
There,
there?
Mac and Pete were in the one bed, and Dave and I were in the other. There were two big beds in that little room.
And what
And
about...
the one bed was higher than the other.
Okay.
And Dave and I were in the lower bed.
And what about... so did your parents...
Well, there was a little room
yeah, the tiny room.
where my sister was,
Yeah.
and then there was the front room where my parents were.
Oh, okay. So they never slept downstairs until you guys built that...
Well, they built later on when Dad was sick. Pete and Dave built a room on the side.
Yes.
It's probably still there in the old house.
Maybe.
Because it was hard for him to get up the stairs, you know.
Yes.
The stairs were fairly steep.
Yes, they were.
Well, for kids it didn't matter. We could run up and down, you know.
Yeah.
But they built a little room right on the side, if you remember.
Yes, I remember.
And it was quite an operation, you know. Well, of course, Dave and Pete were great builders. Mm-hmm. And they built that room for Dad. Mm-hmm. And so Dad spent his last... I don't know, I think Mother must have died by then, maybe.
No, she died after him.
No, I don't.
Oh, she died after him.
Yeah. I can't... Oh, there it is. Oh, there
So they were in that...
I was wearing it because I was cold.
That's it.
Thank you for lunch.
Well, she's
We'll
after
see
you
you.
back.
Yeah, she's here. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see ya.
Yeah, I'll be back.
So they were in that...
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
yeah, they built that room at the front, you remember?
Yeah.
Well, sort of It was kind of at the front, I think.
Beside the living room.
Yeah, beside the living room. And I
And
remember
was that bathroom added on as well at the same time? The little bathroom?
there was a bathroom downstairs, yeah.
Was that
I
added
don't
at the same
think there was
time?
one, was there one upstairs?
No.
Just downstairs, I think.
So was there always
On
a
the
bathroom
ground
there?
floor.
Was there always the bathroom there for a long time? Did you have the bathroom there when you were growing up?
Not all the time. We had the outdoor toilet for a long time.
So what did you do for having a shower or whatever? You didn't get one. Probably too cold.
Well,
to
they
have
had
a shower, right?
we had kind of a bathroom down in the cellar.
Oh,
But of course that was pretty cold
I bet.
to shower
Especially in the wintertime.
in the wintertime.
Yeah.
What was that?
Did she make you take your shoes off when you came inside?
I don't remember.
Or you just scraped them?
I don't think we did, but
Okay. Because there's a place to scrape them all, right?
yeah.
And I remember the fly catchers, you know, to catch all the flies.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
all
She
the
had those up
flies
during
stuff.
the summertime.
Yeah.
Well, Mother was. She would get up at 5 in the morning every day.
Yeah, she worked hard.
Of course, she had the big family and the
Yeah.
big breakfast to get. And,
Yeah. So
And-
you have oatmeal for breakfast?
oh yes, always oatmeal.
Father led the Sunday school.
What was that?
Your mother and father led the Sunday school. What can you tell us about the Sunday school at Zelma United?
Yeah, that's right.
Lots of children.
Yeah, lots of children around, and
And your
but I
mom,
remember every Sunday we were in church, Sunday school. I think Sunday school was first, and then church.
okay.
Or was it? Yeah, I think that's the way it was. And Dad was superintendent, you see, of the Sunday school.
And so did he sing?
Oh, he had a wonderful baritone voice.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So did he sing with the kids, with the children?
Well, he would lead the singing in the Sunday school.
Yes.
I was trying to think what some of the songs. Well, he would lead those old Sunday school songs, you know. And yeah, Dad was a great. His dad started him in as superintendent of the Sunday school many years ago. I think he was just a young man. And so Grandpa Cline, or my grandpa, his dad, put him in as a superintendent. And all those years he was superintendent of the Sunday school. And I remember him leading those old hymns. To be a Daniel, dare to stand alone, dare to make a purpose firm, dare to make it your own, something like that.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Didn't you know that? That used to be a good old hymn we would
We
sing.
know Jesus loves me.
Yeah, Jesus Loves Me was another.
And even my little 2-year-old, he makes up his own words to it. Very well, but he makes us right on tune. So he makes up his own words, and he says, "Love you."
But Mother didn't have a very good singing voice. The
I know,
bishops
that's
weren't so
what I-
musical.
That's what I said too.
Yeah.
And Uncle Steve didn't believe me, but I
So
know
we
that-
would, we'd get around, we had the old, Dad got this piano for
Yes, I
Margaret.
remember.
And so we'd get around the piano singing.
Yeah, I played.
But
the
Mother
piano.
was not musical.
I played the piano. For
I
him
guess the
to sing.
bishops weren't as musical as the Clines.
I guess. I know, because I told Uncle Steve that she couldn't sing. He said, "Oh, she sang just fine." I thought, no. I remember Uncle Steve singing. He would sing.
Well, Steve was quite musical.
Oh, very good, and he played the ukulele.
And he played the ukulele. Yeah, we don't see Steve much. He doesn't live far away, you know.
Oh, when the road is called up yonder.
When the roll is called up yonder, when the roll is called up yonder, when the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. How about Onward Christian Soldier?
Okay,
Onward Christian soldier, marching us to war.
You're singing the
Hurry
bass line.
on before Christ the Royal Master leads against the foe. Onward in new battle, See his banners go. Onward, Christian soldier, marching us to war. With the cross of Jesus going on before.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
So, Uncle Fred, tell us about how you became a missionary. What was it like being a missionary in India?
Oh, I loved it. I was so sorry when we couldn't go back. They wouldn't let us in, you see. The Hindu government didn't want Christians in there. And we were all set to go and we couldn't get permission to go in. I was so disappointed. Yeah, I loved the Indian people. They were wonderful, and the Christians there, boy. But they suffered a lot with the Hindus, you know. It was a Hindu nation,
Well, I think they suffer now as well.
and they're still suffering. But the Hindus were supposed to be broad-minded, but
They were.
as long as you were Hindu.
Long as you're into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, E. Stanley Jones, did you meet him?
I never met him. I heard a lot about. He worked more in South India.
How did you hear about E. Stanley Jones and the ashram?
Oh well, some people who had been in South India. See, he worked mostly in the south, and we were more in the north.
Oh, okay.
And there were a few people that had worked with him, and they came up.
Gandhi.
Oh, Gandhi, no, he was in the south. He was in the south. I don't think he was in the north so much. Yeah,
But what year did you go to India? It was in the 50s.
1954.
So I think, oh, yours one.
Yeah,
So I
we
think
went
that,
out as soon as I
Gandhi was dead probably by then. wasn't
Yeah.
As soon as I graduated from in Saskatoon,
he? Okay, you went
I
down
put
there?
down for overseas.
Must have taken you a long time to get there. Did you go by ship?
It was by ship all the way. We left early in September.
I might.
We didn't get to India till mid-October. I think we had 10 days in Britain. I think that's the way it was. It was all. What was that again?
Your wife, how did you meet her?
Oh, I met her when they were having a meeting of missionaries the day I arrived. That's where I met Frances. Oh, she was a lovely person.
I thought Alec Joshua was your matchmaker.
What was that?
I thought Alec Joshua was your matchmaker.
No, well, he encouraged it, but
Here you go. Bye.
he took credit for it, but I don't know whether it was so or not.
I got the impression that Fran was interested in you. Was it that true?
Yes, I think it was.
Well, I guess so. We met and we got going together, and she was a wonderful lady. I was so sad when she died. You know, she's
Yeah.
been gone for a few years now.
How long?
It's
9 years?
Almost.
it's hard when your mate goes. You know,
Yes.
it's very hard. But she had been there quite a few years before I got there. I think 4 or 5 years. A nurse, you know, at Indore. I remember I arrived there and they were having some kind of a meeting of missionaries. It was near Indore, the next town to Indore. They were having this meeting, and that's when I first met Fran.
Vision and white.
She was a wonderful lady, you know, Fran, boy.
And she went back home to have Dr. John, right?
Yes.
She went back home to Edmonton? Fran.
Yeah. It's a good thing she
Let's
did,
see.
otherwise they
Yeah,
probably
she went home to have
survived
John, that's
here.
right. Well, she had nursed at Indore, and she wasn't too impressed with
She just wanted to
nursing
live with her.
standards. She had worked in the hospital there for quite a number of years. And Dr. Whittaker, the two sisters were both doctors there. One at Indore and one at, forget the other place. But they had been in India too long
Oh.
and weren't taking much refresher courses.
Oh.
And
Dr.
so,
Helen Houston delivered Mark in India.
that's right, and
Oh,
Fran,
Yeah, she was born in India.
I know that she wasn't.
Yeah.
when it time for John to be delivered, Fran said, I want to go back to Edmonton.
Good thing she did. She would have died.
Because
in India.
There was complications in the birth, you know. If she had stayed in India, she might not have survived.
Probably neither of them would.
Because it wasn't a good level of...
Care.
They were when Sean was due, Fran said, I want to go back to Edmonton. She had been in the room, in the delivery rooms with the doctors, you know.
Oh, it wasn't clean.
She wasn't too
Dad
impressed
didn't
with them.
see John till he was like 5 months old or something.
So I can imagine, she flew out of New Delhi, that was north of us, and I watched the plane fly away, and there was my lovely wife away to Canada. Oh, that was sad, you know,
And your child to be
because she went home maybe 2 months before John was
Right,
born.
because they wouldn't let her do it if she was imminent.
And of course I couldn't go home, I was in out in this mission here, you know. The board wouldn't let me go home.
Then you didn't meet John till he was about 5 months old.
That's right. You see, John was, his birthday is November?
Yeah.
November 17th.
Yeah, and he didn't get to India till, was it March?
I think it was March.
I think it was March.
Well, probably
'Cause
just
I
as well,
remember-
keep 'em healthy.
We were having a meeting in New Delhi, and Flan was flying in there, you see. They often, New Delhi was kind of a center they'd fly into.
Okay.
So she came home with this little baby, and John was, his birthday is it November? Or
November 17th.
November 17th. And she didn't get back to India till March.
Yes.
Yeah, until March. Well, she didn't want to go back right away, you know, because
Yeah.
India was with a new baby.
Yeah.
But there I was alone, waiting and waiting, and imagine an expectant father, and I couldn't be there.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing in my life. And of course, I couldn't go back so far. I think the years in India actually were good for my health, because there wasn't a lot of stress, you know, and we had good meals, good food. The hot weather was hard. We usually would go to the hills for 1 month in the hot weather, but that hot weather was through the summer. And I remember we'd usually send our families up a bit ahead of time. And then I remember going up to Deodoon was, you'd go to the, Deodoon was a station at the bottom of the hills. And then you went up the hill 7,000 feet. Yeah, it was a train to Deodoon. And then there was kind of a lift that would take us up 7,000 feet.
Really? Wow.
Then you had to walk up the hill to where the mission had, they had accommodation there, you see. They had houses you could rent, and you'd go there in the summer on holidays.
So how long were you in India?
I went there in '54, and we came back in 1960.
Okay.
So around almost 6 years.
And then did you go to Vermilion? Or where did you go after that?
Let's see, we were home for a year, and then we couldn't get back in.
Is that when you went to New York?
Yeah, we studied in New York for a year.
Oh,
That's
in
right.
New York.
And what did we do?
John in a taxi by himself to go to the nursery.
I was trying to remember what we did after New York.
He was like 12 years old or something.
I think we were in Edmonton for a while.
Yep, I remember going to see you. It was a very cold day. We went up for Christmas. I thought, why is it so cold here? Because it was
And
Calgary.
where were we live when you went?
You were in Edmonton. And
Yeah, we were in Edmonton in the winter.
We lived in Calgary, but it
You
had a
got
Chinook. So I'm like, why is it so cold in Edmonton? It's too cold for me.
Yeah, well then we moved from Edmonton out south a bit. But it was just about as cold there
In Vermont.
as Edmonton.
Well, you lived in Vermilion.
And then we got to Vermilion.
Was that after you were trying
Somebody-
to go back?
I think so.
Somebody got our name. They were in,
You liked Vermilion, didn't you?
what was it now? What was that main town there?
Don't know.
Anyway, wherever it was, they were looking for a minister.
Mm-hmm.
And I had put in a name, looking for a church.
Right.
His name was Abby, was the druggist that was.
Mm.
So I was surprised. We were living in Edmonton.
Yeah.
I got this phone from Abby. He was very anxious that we come.
Yeah.
They couldn't get a minister to come
Yeah, it was a nice place.
because that was inland quite a ways, you know.
Yeah, it was a nice place for Million. I remember going there. You guys had a nice big mats.
And
Lots of
nobody,
room.
they couldn't get people to come from the coast there, you know. And we didn't have a place. We were in Edmonton, so.
And then you were waiting in Richmond and Vancouver.
Yeah,
waiting
we
for a
were.
place. I remember
But this
for a year.
fella, he was druggist. It was Abby. He kept phoning me in from, was it Vermilion?
Vermilion.
Yeah.
And I couldn't figure out who this fellow was or why he was phoning.
Ah,
But they couldn't get anybody to go, you see. A lot of people didn't want to go in
Yeah.
in there.
a little town.
And we didn't have it. We were in Edmonton, sitting in Edmonton. And so I agreed to go without a interview even. I think I met them in Cranbrook
Ah.
just to meet them.
Oh yeah, because then you lived in Creston with us, didn't you?
And then
Yeah, they were incredible.
I remember driving to Vermilion, and quite a ways from Cranbrook, you know.
Yes.
And we
Anyways.
drove and drove. I wonder when we ever get there. And we came around the corner finally, and there was the town. And we stopped at the drugstore. Abby was the druggist that was sort of heading up the committee to call. I guess they couldn't get anybody to go.
Right.
They got you.
Now,
And we had no place to go.
and how long did you live there?
We were there, it must have been 4 or 5 years.
So I think you were in Creston, and then you decided to go back to India, and then you couldn't go back to India,
Yeah.
and then you went to Vermilion. I think that's how it worked.
And then they moved to Calgary for John to go to university.
Right. And
Yeah,
then-
that was my big disappointment when we couldn't go back. They wouldn't let us in.
Hillhurst,
Hillhurst.
where I grew up.
The Hindu government, they didn't want Christians coming in.
Yep, I remember. You were stuck in Richmond for quite a while.
Anyway, that was the way it was, I guess. And
Yeah.
so,
So
well,
why did you leave Creston? Because we liked having you there. Why did you leave Creston?
I think because we had decided to go back to India,
Oh, okay.
and we resigned and went to Edmonton.
How long did you live in Creston?
I think it was, seemed to me it was 7 or 8 years, but
Yeah, a
I
long
could
time.
be wrong. I think it was about 8 years, yeah. It was a wonderful church. They got my name, or our names. We were in, not Cranbrook, where was it? Kimberley?
Creston? Creston?
Wherever it was, and I had put my name in, and
Vermilion.
it went to Cranbrook.
But you didn't go to Cranbrook.
And this fella, Ab Avery,
Vermilion.
was
Yes,
looking for a
Vermilion.
minister. And so I got this surprise call from him.
Yeah.
I didn't know who he was. And he was very anxious. He couldn't get anybody to go. And we had no place to go, so
It was a good move for you.
we agreed sort of, we agreed sort of sight unseen
I
to go.
remember going there, and it was very warm there in the summertime.
Lots of fruit trees and stuff.
But I can remember driving the first time we drove to Creston. And
Uh-huh.
it seemed to me, from Cranbrook, it seemed you have to drive and drive and drive.
Yeah, Cranbrook's quite a ways from.
And finally, it come around the corner, and there was the town, you know. And it was a very good church. I was sorry we ever left there.
Yeah.
We should never have left there.
Yeah.
Yes, you should, otherwise I would not be married to John.
It was a nice church.
But
It was a nice church.
they, the board wanted us to go back to India, you see,
Uh-huh.
and we
Maybe
thought it'd
wouldn't
be
let
good.
you in.
Yeah.
And I think we'd been in Creston for, was it 8 years?
A long time.
Something like that.
Before my time.
But that was a wonderful church, you know. But they couldn't get anybody to go.
The Vermilion.
Well, it was way inland, you know, and people didn't want to come from the coast,
Oh, I see Creston. Okay.
and they didn't want to come from the prairies.
Well, Well, it was right in the mountains, right?
It was what?
It was right in the mountains.
Yeah,
So
it was.
You're not used to that. Like your mother came to visit us in Nelson,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and my dad wanted her to stay there, but she couldn't stay there. There's too many mountains for
She
her.
had to get home.
Yeah, she couldn't stand the mountains. It's a good church, and why don't you apply?
Yeah. Oh, no wonder you didn't know where it was. It's just this little town.
And then
on the mountain.
they burnt the church down on him.
Yes, they
Remember
did.
that?
The organist.
The
I
organist,
certainly
yeah.
remember
This idiot
that.
burnt. He phoned up and talked to John, my son,
Who did?
Dave here,
Oh.
and
Our church.
so John said, "So how are you doing?" He said, "Well, my church burnt down. They burnt my church down."
Yeah, I used to, Mr. Arneson, I used to do the papers in the morning, and on Saturday mornings I'd go up every Saturday and see how they're getting on with the church. That church had burned down twice,
Oh, really?
and so this
Wow.
time, once like in 1910 or something, so this time they built it all out of cement blocks, so it couldn't be burned.
I remember Dave. You were in Calgary, and he was applying to places in Alberta, and nothing seemed to work out.
Ah,
And then,
And by golly, he applied and got it right away. I remember they came through and got the interview, and they wanted him to come,
yeah.
and he had a good ministry there.
Yep, we were there for 6 years, which is the
I
longest we
think
ever
so.
stayed anywhere
oh, wow.
until.
And then
Brickhouse.
down to Vancouver.
Yeah, no, we
So
moved
it
every
was,
5 years.
I gave him that tip, you know, because
I
they didn't know,
that.
they couldn't seem to get anybody to go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of people didn't want to go to central BC, you know.
Yeah.
It was so far from Calgary and so far from Vancouver.
But it was southern BC, it wasn't
But
that
I think
far.
he had a good time there, I think.
Oh, yeah.
How long were you there, do you remember?
6 years,
6, yeah.
from 65 to 71.
And then it was down to Vancouver, wasn't it?
66, I guess. Yes, and then down to Vancouver.
Well, I think some of
Richmond.
your girls were wanting to go to university or something.
Worse, being my father, he applied for churches after that, right? He didn't want to wait 6 years to find a place, but he applied and like Kamloops, and I think Vernon, but he didn't get the positions. So it's better to be in Vancouver, but you know, Vancouver, St. Stephen's, he always liked to build things, right? But they didn't want to make the church big or anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he did add on a few little offices at the back, but you can't
Yeah.
tell. But you're lucky if you can get 100 people in there, and it's and the hall was really small and everything. So he got frustrated with that. So then he moved up to Brick House. So let's see, I think we were only there. We moved there in 71.
Well, he was my favorite brother, you know.
Yeah, I think
We grew up together
moved
on the
there,
farm. Phil was 3 years younger. And then Pete and Mac were older, you see.
I don't think we stayed in Vancouver very long at all.
So
I think
Dave and
moved
I-
there in 74 or something.
We're very
How
close.
long were you guys at Brickhouse?
Well, he's my older brother, you see.
Yeah, so Uncle Fred, we're gonna wrap up. Any final thing you want to say to people? This can be for people watching. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, well, I think there was a child between Phil and I
What's
that
that?
died.
Oh, I didn't know
So there was
that.
3 years between us, you see. And so,
Never heard that
of course,
story.
Dave and I, it was less than 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I know that
We
there
were
was
very
a
close.
child before that, and his name was Howard.
You
Right?
guys were the ones that died.
Yeah.
We were very close. Well, he's my big brother, you see, and we always
Yeah.
played.
Yeah. So
hockey.
one day again, you get to see him, and just think how happy you'll be. Get to go see Fran and my mother Vera and Billy
That's right,
Graham
yeah.
and
Ruth Graham?
Yeah,
Graham,
it
who
really
else?
is something, isn't it, when you think of
your
the
mother and your father
folks that
and
have gone.
my grandma and
Pete.
grandpa.
Yeah, Margaret.
Well, I remember my dad.
Mom and Dad.
Well, you see, my dad was a great man, you know,
Yeah, he was.
and he had all these boys
Yeah, he sure did. And one girl.
and the one girl.
That's Grandma Cline.
And I
said,
remember,
what's the matter with having all those boys? His It's good to have a girl, she said.
I remember it was thrashing time, August, and he always ran the separator, you know, the old separator. It had a separator and engine to run it. And he'd always had to get the separator ready in August to
Your
get
father?
thrashing. To get thrashing, to get
Your
ready
dad?
to thrash.
Yeah,
And Dad was working on the old separator.
yeah.
And they came out and said, well, mother of course, had gone to the home.
Oh,
For the
she's
baby.
having a baby. Oh, for
Yeah, and young.
Oh, for
And they
Steve.
came out and said, oh, you've got a daughter. And Dad was all smiles.
Ah,
He'd had all these boys, you know.
yeah. Yeah.
So he
Well, I
came
think
back.
She was a favorite.
He rushed in and talked on the phone, and he came out. He was all smiles. Our dad was a great fellow, you know. He was a wonderful man.
Yeah.
He had all these sons and one daughter.
Yeah.